Let's go! LSU gets a commitment from the 3-1 great Gabriel Reliford. Comes in from North Louisiana, a flip here from Texas A&M. So comment down below. I want your honest thoughts. Is this the best defensive lineman that Brian Kelly has brought in for the class of 2024? Now, at the end, I'm going to give you a comp that should excite the living daylights out of you, but also coming up, some things that do concern me about his potential fit for LSU moving forward. And a lot of what concerns me is kind of sort of out of his control. So first thing that really stands out to me is he does make a lot of freaking plays. There are quite a few defensive linemen that have really good recruiting pedigree, but they're not overall productive, right? For whatever reason. That's not the case with Gabriel Reliford. He was very productive during his time with Evangel High School. And, of course, we all know the long list of great LSU players that have come from Evangel, obviously headlined by Jacob Hester. And just not even at LSU, just in general, they have quite a few guys that turn out to be good football players despite a 3-star grade. And that's the thing, right? Gabriel Reliford is overall a 4-star prospect. But if you take a look at the 4 major recruiting services, there's only one of them that has him as a 4-star, and that, of course, is On 3. So when I watch him, I do see an explosive playmaker, a guy that loves to run and chase, a guy that really loves to fly to the football. And one thing that I do see from him is a lot of scheme versatility, right? There are instances, like in the background, you see him as a standing 2-point jack linebacker type. The build of that type of player can vary, right? There are guys that are built like a B.J. Ojolari, and then there are other guys that are more built like a Courtney Upshaw. So it is interesting how that position has evolved. But the good thing about Reliford is I do see a potential path forward of him not being a standing jack linebacker type, but more of a 3-tech, 4-eye kind of guy in what could be a tight mint front or just, a typical 4-man front. So it's a very interesting evaluation because where it gets a little concerning when I watch him, and actually we'll get to that in just a second. We'll get into the pros and cons. I'm going to let you watch his full highlight reel before we get to that. Now, let's talk about how this actually fits into the grand scheme of things for LSU. There is one very spicy thing that I know excites quite a few of you. He, of course, is a defensive line flip from Texas A&M, right? That's a school that has won some recruiting battles against us, and a lot of those Louisiana players that have gone to Texas A&M have turned out to be pretty decent starter-level players. So the fact that we were able to get this guy to come back to LSU, now look, it did help that Elijah Robinson left and Jimbo Fisher, of course, got fired, but the bottom line is you need defensive linemen. You just do. Whether you think Gabriel Reliford is going to be good or not, we want 4-star-ish level players from the boot. If LSU wants them, we want them to be a part of the LSU class. What's very interesting, though, was, during the early part of, the recruiting cycle here, I did watch him, and I go through and I watch as many players as I possibly can. I was a little shocked to see how lowly rated he was before On 3 really shot up his recruiting ranking. I do see him as a very solid player with a pretty decent floor, right? But we then get into where things can get a little interesting for Gabriel in the position fit, right? It's always been kind of strange when LSU recruits these types of athletes that aren't quite 300 pounds, right? Not, like a Mason Smith or a Glenn Dorsey, if you will, which that weight, I think, does help your floor when it comes to, standing up to the point of attack. And they're also not quite bendy, edge, B.J. Ojolari, Barkevius Mingo type of players that are in that 215 to 220, 225 range, right? Gabriel Reliford is right in the middle of both of that, right? He's not necessarily a bending pass rusher type of outside linebacker, edge, defensive end type of player, and he's not quite, just your prototypical 3-tech kind of defensive tackle, right? So you do want to take a chance on a player with this type of athleticism. You really do. This is a guy who has some track and field measurables that are pretty impressive when it comes to explosiveness and speed. But then again, there needs to be a plan set in place. What do you want him to do? How does he solve a problem for the defense that you want to run? And then it gets into the question of what does Matt House exactly want his defense to be? I do think, outside of Mekhi Wingo, how many defensive linemen have you seen at LSU in the Matt House system really reach their potential? Outside of maybe B.J. Ojulari, right? That was obviously a clear, step in the right direction. He wasn't a 4-3 in like he was in the Orgeron system. He was more of a jack linebacker position from the get-go. But outside of Mekhi Wingo, who is a guy that you think has really been maximized with the way that LSU plays defensive line? It's hard to really point to anyone, right? And I think a big reason why that's the case is because LSU just doesn't really have that identity on defense, right? Matt House's scheme at Kentucky with their defensive fronts was very similar to that of Dave Aranda, but when he's been at LSU, they've not quite run that type of front, right? I think that they've had some square pegs and round holes, and that can hurt a defensive lineman's development if you don't know what exactly his role is supposed to be in your defense, right? So, you've watched Gabriel Reliford make quite a few plays in the background. We know he can go out there and make plays. We know he's very productive. We know he has went out there and dominated games. But what is his role going to be moving forward? Now you're looking at the profiles of former LSU tweener defensive linemen. Now, essentially, that word is used throughout sports, and basically that means you're kind of stuck in between two positions. And you'll see that some of these guys that were around the 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 230 to 250 pound range, they did not work out. But there was also a few of these names that did work out. And one thing you'll see is those guys ended up playing a defined position. So take a guy like Michael Brockers. He gained quite a bit of weight and became obviously a long-standing NFL defensive tackle and a player of one of the best, defensive lines we've ever seen at LSU. So, look, it's important to find that role. What is your role within the framework of the defense that you want to play? That, to me, is very important because there was a guy who kind of reminds me, and I know this sounds concerning, but don't freak out. A guy like Bryce Langston is very similar to a guy like Gabriel Reliford, right? He was a guy that was an amazing athlete. They put some weight on him. They tried to make him a defensive tackle, and obviously he's in the portal right now. So that role, whatever it may be, is important to figure out because that helps, the strength and conditioning staff to get your body where you need to be to play SEC level football. A lot of times when we talk about it on live streams, this is simple physics, right? A lot of this just comes down to pure athleticism and body type. So, LSU has 5 total defensive linemen committed, including Ahmad Breaux. You just saw his 247 profile, and this is actually his junior film. And I'm going to show you a clip that's going to blow your mind in just a second. But for right now, this has been a really good defensive line class for LSU. Look, there's no top 100 defensive linemen. Of course, you would like to have one of those types of players, but some of these guys are going to work out. And, of course, another one is Sean Washington. We not talked a whole lot about him. This is a guy who's been playing collegiate ball for multiple seasons, so you do get some aid. Today was a good day if you are an LSU football fan. Now, in the background, you see Ahmad Breaux chasing down fellow 2024 commit Juwan Johnson. I thought that was very fun. But what a senior season, and I'm giving you this clip here at the end. So this is just absolutely ridiculous right here from Ahmad Breaux. Watch this, just a straight head up versus the center, and just pile drives this guy right into the quarterback. I mean, the dude plays like a human cinder block. And that's one of my favorite things about Breaux and Reliford. They're very physical players. And like we do at the end of every video, we save my absolute favorite play from the committed prospect. Now, I have to admit, Ori Williams, his play was my favorite. He's a 3-star offensive tackle that's currently committed. And down below, you can see a playlist of pretty much every single video we've done. This is a sign of really good hustle. So you see him right here playing a more interior technique to the inside shoulder of this tight end. And obviously one thing, as you move forward is pad level. So this is a very high get off, and he's pinned to the inside right here. And this running back decides to bounce, okay? So he does a good job crossing face and immediately taking an angle upfield, right? Because he knows he's likely not going to catch this guy going flat. And look at this. Running back has a step on him, and he is outrunning DBs to chase him down. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to his track speed. A sub-12 100-meter guy at that size is absolutely insane. So, love to freaking see that motor. Let's freaking go, Gabriel Reliford, the pride of Shreveport, Louisiana. Let's go. Now, this is my ultimate upside NFL comp for him. You've got to really know Louisiana football, and my viewers from West Feliciana, by the way, we do have a West Feliciana player committed in the class of 2024. The video on him will be floating in your face in just a second. So, I want to bring up Jalen Ferguson. Now, I know he produced at Louisiana Tech, which obviously isn't the same as producing in the SEC, but the dude was absolutely absurd. Very similar traits, the both of them. Now, once again, Jalen Ferguson is one of the best Louisiana college football players ever. But look, he obviously had a career with the Baltimore Ravens, ended very tragically, but the guy was very explosive, and his build is very similar to that of Reliford. So, look, I know On3 compared him to Melvin Ingram. That would be absolutely sensational from an LSU point of view. So the upside is clearly there, and if everything clicks and you find, the best role for him, you could see it. You really could see him being a big-time player. So there we go. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! And tonight, we're doing burgers. Let's go. Check this out right here. Let's go.